I'm going to go to him. He is in the background. My man, Dr. Wilmer Leon. How you doing, man? You doing okay today?
Man, I'm talking to Jamarl Thomas. Come on, I'm doing great.
Dr.
Oh,
Wilmer
folks
Leon,
can't say that.
he's a radio host, political scientist, nationally syndicated columnist, host of Connecting the Dots on YouTube and on Insider Issues on Sirius Radio. Thank you for joining me for this. We have had interesting news take place in the United States. The government is back on for whatever that's worth. But we've also had a discharge petition that was effectively forced through to force the Epstein files to come through. Now, this was against the opposition of Donald Trump, who fought against this for like 4 months. Mike Johnson, his, I don't know what you want to call it, puppet of sorts,
Muppet.
Speaker of the House, sycophant, all of those things. Mike Johnson fought against it tooth and nail. And it was forced through by effectively Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, who got the discharge position, shamed the rest of the Republicans. And when Donald Trump saw his numbers where he was 39 points underwater on this issue, eventually was like, okay, we'll do it. But the caveat is we're going to have a ton of investigations, and we're going to try to use those investigations to stymie the release of the actual information. And Donald Trump's problem is the emails that were released, his name is all through those emails, strongly indicating that he knew about the girls, he knew about the abuse, and he was in association with those victims, and had connections with Epstein, even going into his first term as president. Give me a take on this before showing anything associated with this. What are your thoughts, just in general?
Well, the hypocrisy that this clearly demonstrates is just once again nauseating. You would hope that the folks that are elected to represent our interests, no matter what end of the spectrum, political spectrum you're on, you would really hope that they would be honest in their efforts. And this is no new revelation. It just reinforces what we've come to understand, but that doesn't make it any less nauseous or nauseating. Right. So Mike Johnson decides that he's going to shut down the House of Representatives, sends them home for what, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
He decides that he's not going to swear in the representative-elect from Arizona, basically just kicking the can down the road because he was eventually going to have to swear the woman in. What is her name? Her last name is Gil.
I know you're referring to, yeah. Basically, he prevented her this morning.
Why? You created this whole mythology, and then once the pressure got insurmountable, now you try to flip the script. And I don't know if you listened to Mike Johnson's comments after the vote, now all of a sudden, this had to be done, and the truth must be told. Come on, man. Really? It's pathetic. And the president still sticking to this. This is a Democratic Party hoax. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
And I wish I had something else I could say. I wish I had something more intelligent I mean, I think you usually bring me on here because I have some level of intellect. Some may question that, and I understand it, but all I got is damn.
I mean, they're throwing their bodies to protect a pedophile. That's mind blowing, right? I mean, Massey got out there and said this. This is what Massey said on the House floor. And look, I have to give credit to Massey, Rokana, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's shocked the hell out of me recently.
Right.
But this is Massey on the floor, and he's right.
That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men in handcuffs being perp walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up.
Yeah. Rape Allen is what he's deemed it. Rape Allen. I used to call it pedophile Allen.
Her name is
Rape Allen. Okay.
Grijalva. Representative Grijalva is the name of the woman that just got sworn in from Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but here to me is even I think the bigger crime is we've been taken through this entire mess. And yesterday, a whole lot of people were applauding the vote.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so. But what does it get us? Nothing. Because Donald Trump has directed, I guess that's Pam Bondi,
the
DOJ, to initiate these other investigations. So I assume that the administration is going to hide behind, oh, there are these ongoing investigations. Therefore, ergo, we can't release the information, even though now everybody voted, with the exception of this fool from Louisiana, everybody voted to release the information. The president signed the legislation. Oh, but there are these ongoing which is why he flipped his script when somebody whispered in his ear, Mr. President, I think we figured out a way around this. And he went, oh, okay. Sounds like a good idea. It's subterfuge all over again. So where does this take us other than nowhere?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Massey is even went so far as to say he's talking about criminal charges because at this point they're breaking the law if they try to avoid releasing the information. Also, it's humiliating.
Not Pam Bondi can hide behind there are ongoing investigations until all of the cows come home.
But does that work? Yeah, no, you're right. But does that work though? I mean, Donald Trump is 37 points underwater on this issue. Even Republicans have looked at this and said, how are you protecting a pedophile? That is damaging. And then the emails that came out.
I'm not protecting a pedophile. There are ongoing investigations, and we're trying to get to the bottom of this. And we can't.
But Trump could have released that information overnight if he wanted to. And for the last 4 months, he's been fighting tooth and nail. It's the wife beating thing, right? It's if I say, so how long have you been beating your wife, Dr. Leon? And you're like, what are you talking about? I don't beat my wife. But we're having a conversation, but you're beating your wife either way.
Right.
And the people are bringing up like, dude, how are you throwing your body and fighting for months on end to protect a pedophile? And pedophiles And is it possible that you're really protecting yourself because you're on that list?
But see, I think part of it depends on what has become the administration's objective, and how do they define win?
Mhm.
So one of the things that I've always tried to get my son and my students to understand is, when you start out on a mission, things don't always go as planned.
Right.
And so you have to make adjustments. And sometimes you've got to redefine what I call redefine win. You have to redefine what your victory is going to be, because you've come to see can't get there from here.
Yeah.
So I gotta go another route. I gotta do another thing, and victory has shifted from this to that. So I can only assume now the numbers are what the numbers are, and the numbers are horrible.
Yes.
I mean, he's lost 18 points. He's lost 18 points over like the last 3 or 4 weeks. 39% approval rating, 57% disapprove, 4% not sure. There's been an 18-point swing in a month or 2 months, something like that. So I don't know what they're trying to salvage now. But my point is, I don't know that I have an answer to your last question, because I don't know what they're trying to save.
Yeah.
What does Gil Scott Heron say? Nobody's fighting because nobody knows what to save. Save your soul from winter in America. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it ain't looking good.
I mean, sometimes it's just not losing, right?
Right.
Like you're playing a chess game. You initially start off with the win, and then you're like, all right, how do I just not lose? How do I draw this out?
And you and I were talking about using the chess analogy the last time I was on, and I said when you when you come to the board, each player has their first 4 or 5 moves in their head until your opponent forces you to change what you were planning to do.
Yeah.
So, how does the president go on Friday from the position he was holding on Friday, and most people thinking, oh, this isn't going to go through, to what we got on Tuesday, and Mike Johnson standing there now disregarding everything he has said,
Yes,
every lie he has told over the last month. Mike Johnson, Mr. Muppet, why did you shut down the damn government? I mean, not shut down the government. Why did you send Congress home for 5 weeks?
Yep.
Only to get us here, where we knew we would wind up eventually. But see, this also to me poses another question. Why did the 7 Democrats in the Senate fold on the ACA bill, on the ACA issue, shutting down the government?
Oh, did we didn't get a chance to talk about that. Oh, okay. So maybe you weren't on it. Okay.
Well, I think we talked about it while it was ongoing. I don't think I've been on since, but the dots I'm connecting, shameless plug for my podcast. The dots I'm connecting here are, you won 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, you wiped the floor with the Republicans across the country.
Right.
All you did was kick ass and take names. You look at the polling numbers the approval numbers of the president that I just cited. You're winning on every front. You won on this front. Why did you snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? If you had held your position, and that's, I think, the operative thing here. If you had held your position, where would we be now? Where would the Democrats be now in terms of leveling the playing field, putting the president on the back foot on defense? Where would you be now?
Yeah.
Tim Kaine.
Fetterman.
Well, you'd be in a much stronger position. You'd be in a much stronger position now than you have been in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So why did you fold?
I want to get to that question.
Okay.
That's a damn good question that I honestly, God, don't have an answer to. And I've spoken to a few people.
I got an answer for you.
Well, before, hold that answer just for 1 second.
All right.
The other thing with Epstein list is Israel. Because over and over again, it's very clear at this point that Epstein was some kind of asset. He was in conversations. He was working with
He was
spies.
a Mossad agent.
Yeah, or agent or asset, one or the other. But he was obviously in connection with Israel. And they seem to be doing everything in their power to avoid connecting those dots. Shameless plug also.
Appreciate it.
But meaning they're avoiding that link between those two things. And so it's like, if indeed he was an agent or an asset, he was an agent and an asset in lieu of something else. Meaning it wasn't just he was an asset just to be an asset. It's like you're an asset for some purpose. And the belief is that the purpose was to get some kind of intel, or at the very least to be able to elicit support through force of embarrassment and humiliation from various members of Congress or elites in our society. I mean, his house is supposed to have been wired and all of this stuff. You're talking about all of these people who are supposedly had sex with, according to Megyn Kelly, 15-year-olds are not children. Weirdly enough, I hate to give her a news flash. They are. Like, she's trying to give Republicans a pass on this nonsense. Like, well, they were only having sex with 15-year-olds. Those are children. Those are children.
Well, to that point, there is a difference between a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old, and it's 7 years. The difference is 7 years. And that difference makes no difference because it's called statutory rape.
Yes.
For a reason. Now the person she was allegedly having this conversation with about this issue, who 15-year-old, it's still statutory rape.
Yeah.
So you can try to, I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, diminish.
But it's still statutory rape.
Yeah. I guess my thing is, how many of these members of Congress are compromised? That's the other issue.
Well, too many. One is too many. And see, I think the Mossad issue is an even bigger issue than even you and I probably know. Because they operate off of leverage. And how many votes have been cast? How much support for this? What is it? How much do they get a year?
Well, it's like $3.6 billion a year.
3.6 billion. Thank you.
Yeah.
How many votes have been leveraged for that 3.6 billion? They went from, I think, a 5-year deal to a 10-year deal during the Obama administration. Now they want a 20-year deal.
Yep.
and how many votes are being cast in support of that support based upon leverage, based upon being compromised?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question, but so there are a number of subplots to all of this that I think people need to pay very close attention to, and they need to keep asking the questions, because you're not hearing the questions being asked on MSNBC, you're not hearing the questions being asked on CNN, you're not hearing the questions being asked as they're standing out on the steps of the House and the Senate. So we need to keep asking these questions, because this is how they operate. And so, along with the campaign contributions that Gregory Meeks has been getting, and so many of these other members of Congress have been getting from AIPAC and other entities, we need to keep calling this out and asking, and Hakeem Jeffries and Richie Torres, and Kamala Harris got $6 million from her campaign from AIPAC. People need to keep asking these questions.
One of the other interesting things before we flip over to why Democrats cave, Plaskett. I don't know if you saw the documentation. So there have been multiple emails that have been released.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump saw through those emails. And as I pointed out, he obviously knew Epstein was abusing young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Trump seemed to have hung out with many of the victims in many respects. Epstein's brother went on Cuomo and pointed out, look, man, if my brother obviously knew damaging information that would have ended the political careers of Donald Trump and other political actors. Basically, they would have had to cancel the election, I think is his exact quote. Plaskett gets caught up in this also because there were emails where she was going back and forth with Epstein.
Oh, the woman from the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, that's not an elected member of Congress, but apparently sits there nonetheless.
No, she's an elected member of Congress, but she has no vote because she comes from the Virgin Islands.
Thank you. And so she's getting information from Epstein, and she's on congressional committee talking. I believe she was talking to Cohen.
Right.
And Epstein was feeding her information, feeding her questions to effectively answer. Now, there are all sorts of problems with this, right? Like, hey, how does he have your phone number? He's texting you directly. That's weird in and of itself, right? Like,
right.
I don't have Plaskett's phone number. I don't know how many people have Plaskett's phone number, but apparently Epstein did. This is her defense of this. She's standing up here trying to give a defense for why a pedophile has her direct phone line and why he is feeding her information in the middle of congressional testimony. Let me know if this argument works for you.
And I got a text from Jeffrey Epstein, who at the time was my constituent, who was not public knowledge at that time that he was under federal investigation, and who was sharing information with me.
But it was public knowledge that he was a pedophile. It was public knowledge that he was a pedophile. Whether he was under federal investigation or not is secondary to the point. You are getting information from a guy who's known as a pedophile, and he is feeding that information to you. How many of her constituents have her direct text message?
Well,
that argument falls flat for me. That's my point.
That one, Fred Hampton has a speech where he says, you come up with answers that don't answer, explanations that don't explain, and conclusions that don't conclude. This is an answer that ain't answering. This is a conclusion that don't. He was, at the time, he was a constituent of mine. So during a congressional hearing, she is getting text messages from a pedophile directing her regarding questions that she should be asking
Yes.
the focus of the investigation or the
Yes.
testimony. That he was a constituent of mine. My phone rang. I had to take the call from my constituent. Don't you? I'm an elected representative. This is what we and take a look at, if you can run that one back. Take a look at the sister sitting behind her like this. What? What'd you say? Oh, God. I think she's got pink. She might have pink on. She's sitting like this. No, the one in the blue.
Right here.
Yeah.
On the far right. Yeah.
Look at her.
She's
What?
Like, you got me sitting behind you while you answer some stupid question like this. Yeah.
No, it makes, see, and this shows you how deep this thing goes.
Yeah, it's both parties.
How deep this thing goes. And for a long time we were looking at a parade of men. So now you've got to wonder, as a woman, how does she get drawn into this trap? Yeah. Oh, I know, because he's a constituent of hers, and
there's that. He's a constituent. All my constituents have my direct personal text message.
Right.
All of them.
During hearings.
Yeah.
During hearings. Now, well, anyway.
I mean, like you said, this doesn't answer anything, right?
No, explanations that don't explain.
And one
conclusions that don't conclude.
Yeah,
no,
it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And one last thing, just because I know how much you like Trump. Yes. This is a brave reporter, kind of.
Is that Miss Piggy?
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Okay.
Asking Donald Trump a question with him sitting there with Bonesaw.
Oh, that one. Okay, I thought you were talking about the one on the plane.
Oh, there's so many of these, right? Where he's flipping out. He called one woman Piggy.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to. Okay, go ahead.
I think this one is worse, frankly.
Mr. Becker, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
No, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I would turn out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard.
And now we just have deflection. You're a terrible person. You're a terrible reporter. In fact, I thought she asked that fine. I would have asked that question differently. Hey, why are you protecting the pedophile?
Well, my response would have been, even if all that is true, the question still remains.
Yeah.
That the question still remains. Because I was in not with the president, but I was in a situation where I asked a question and the person I was asking the question to started attacking me personally. And my response was, I'll give you all that. But the question still remains.
Yeah.
Why did you do this? Just answer the question. So,
attack me all you want.
Yeah. But the question still remains.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. He dodging, deflecting, dancing.
But see,
throwing everybody in the way. Bill Clinton, Larry Summers.
And see, that also shows you, and I don't say this in any way to demean the reporter, but they're always trying to strike a balance between being hard-nosed and retaining access, because their credentials can be pulled at any time. And now instead of standing in the room, now she's standing on the street screaming at the building instead of standing in the room. So,
by the way, he did threaten her credentials.
Well, there you go.
He was like, we should take ABC's credentials away.
There you go.
You guys attack me all the time and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I mean, for one, it's like, dude, you're all through the emails. You were getting money from him for your house at the Mar-a-Lago as you were in office. Like, meaning this is not like a relationship where, oh, I threw him out, he was a sicko. Not so much. Not so much. Like, it's like you got to explain those emails. But yeah, she's remaining respectful despite the fact that that's a hard-nosed question.
So he was a sicko when you threw him out. Was he a sicko 10 years before when you guys are yucking it up and you got your arms around these women and as you know, I will say hand clasped upon buttocks.
All right. All right.
Buttocks. Was he a sicko then? Did you know he was a sicko then? They're talking about you in 1,000 emails.
Yeah,
of course. I've got a friend. We've been friends 64 years, and I'm 66, and you won't find my name in 1,000 emails from him.
Right.
I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, I send emails all the time out for the show. You're not going to find 1,000 of anybody.
No.
Yeah. Why did Democrats capitulate? As you point out, pulling victory from the pulling defeat from the jaws of victory.
Right.
They had just won all of those elections. Trump's approval rating was plummeting. Grocery bills, inflation, all of those things was going through the roof. He was underwater on pretty much every issue he won the election on. They were winning in regards to the shutdown fight, as evidenced by the electoral victories that they brought in. And then all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, we're winning too much, man. We got to capitulate.
Because they were winning too much. And especially in the context of the New York mayor's race with Mamdani. And the signal that election was sending to the Democratic Party elite about a more populist democratic socialist position. And the elite, the Nancy Pelosi's and the Bill and Hillary Clintons and the what's the guy down in Louisiana, James Carville's.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to go in that direction. So some would posit that that they could win the battle but ideologically lose the war. That as citizens, we would love to see them move further to the left. We would love to have health care. We would love to have child care. We would love to have better public education. We would love to have better retirement plans. Those are the things that they run on. Those are the things that they discuss in order to attract votes, because they know what it is we want to hear. But their benefactors, the folks that enable them to retire as millionaires, damn sure don't want them to go in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Chuck Schumer playing good cop, bad cop. Because there are those there are a number of reports that'll say Chuck Schumer wasn't surprised that those 7 Democrats and Angus King, I'll say Genghis Khan, Angus King, voted as an independent with the Democratic caucus, with the 7 Democrats. That that Chuck Schumer was in the game the entire time. Again, playing the good cop role as they played the bad cop role, because they really don't want to go there. Now, is that the answer? I don't know. Is it a sensible thing to consider? I believe it is. That the game was fixed from the get-go. Because I can't think of any other reason why they would be that stupid.
Yeah.
You're winning. You were winning on all fronts. The numbers, you were ahead 10 points in a lot of the polls. When you looked at the polling on this issue, they were winning in some polls, they were winning by 12, 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you and I, early in the game, when the thing first started, you asked me what direction was this going to go. And I said, well, we're going to have to wait at least a week or two to see, because once people miss their second full paycheck, I think you and I had this conversation. Once people miss their second paycheck, then we've got to look to see where the numbers are. Right. And that'll tell us when I was putting it on Hakeem Jeffries, when Hakeem Jeffries will decide to fold. Well, when folks missed that second paycheck and the numbers came back and the Democrats were still had favorable numbers, we were like, oh, the people are behind them. The people want them to fight. And it's like Vegas. People are putting money down on them. Keep fighting. You're like, I think I'm going to throw in the towel.
It's bizarre. I mean,
because they didn't want to really go there.
I think Ted Raw made the point of saying, because Ted thought that Ted was like, Republicans are taking a hit. Obviously, they're going to have to capitulate. Because, Donald Trump had put out the thing saying, look, we need to get rid of the filibuster.
Right.
Okay, well, he said that because he realized, hey, this doesn't look good for us.
I said to you that was the first sign to me when he called Thune and said, get rid of the filibuster. I think I said to you, I know I said it on a number of shows, that's the first sign that Trump knows he's in trouble. And it wasn't only because he called Thune and told him to do away with the filibuster. Thune's response was no.
Yeah.
And that was something that Trump was not used to hearing, not since he was 7 years old. He's not used to hearing no. His mother wouldn't even tell him no. And then he called Muppet Mike. And Muppet Mike told him no. He knew he was in trouble. And I can't remember the woman's name. Jean Shaheen comes out and says, well, it was the best offer on the table. That woman should not have been at the table. She should not have been at the adult table. She should have been at the kiddies table, because she ain't got no expertise in negotiation. She wasn't reading the room. You were winning. He realized he was losing. And even his own team was telling him no. And you can't see that? Yeah. And the numbers were in your favor? And you were 10 days away from Thanksgiving. And more important than that, you were 11 days away from Black Friday. And you want Black Friday to come on the calendar and people don't have paychecks? The number one day in the economy where businesses can make or break their year. Mm-hmm. You had them. It's that. Where's that picture? I could dig it out. It's the Dr. J. Larry Bird photograph where Larry Bird got a whole lot of collar and Dr. J got a whole lot of windpipe. because Larry Bird. Let me see if I can find it.
This is Larry Bird got a whole lot of collar. Dr. Dre got a whole lot of windpipe.
I can't find it. But because Larry Bird is so much bigger than Dr. J, when you first look at the picture, a lot of people say, wow, look at Larry Bird kicking Dr. J's behind. And then I say, yeah, but look who's got collar and look who's got windpipe.
Yeah.
They had windpipe.
Yeah.
They had windpipe. And they let it go.
I don't have an answer for it. I honest to God, don't have an answer for it. Because you're right. This was one of those situations where you were applying pain, and the public was appropriating blame on one of the political parties that just so happy wasn't yours. And
the public was right.
And the public was right. I mean, because look, for worse come to worse, whatever I think about Obamacare, the idea that you are fighting tooth and nail for premiums to go up by 3 times is outrageous. And if you can't make that argument, like I remember in old days, do you remember when I think it was Mitt Romney was running? He had Paul Ryan as VP, and Democrats were running ads with Republicans. I think it was a Republican that looked like Paul Ryan, taking a grandmother up in a wheelchair off a cliff and then throwing her off the cliff. And Republicans like, oh, that's outrageous. That's unfair. That was a damn good ad. Right. The fact that I remember that ad 15 years later gets across how good that ad was, because that ad was apt, right? It's like you are gutting and making people's lives miserable in regard to healthcare, and you're destroying the healthcare sector as weak as that healthcare sector already is. And if you can't make that argument stick, like Obamacare is the only thing that I can think of the Democrats pass in regards to this kind of big bill of sorts.
Right.
As problematic as it is, it's all they got, right? You defend the thing that you got. If you can't defend that, and if you're not willing to go to the mat for that, you're not willing to go to the mat for anything. That looks horrendous.
Which is why we thought Hakeem Jeffries would fold.
But he didn't.
He didn't. But I'm saying that's why early on in the game, we were just waiting for him to fold. But the House anyway, Democrats realized we've got a winning position.
Yes.
You know, you're playing bid whist and you're sitting there looking at your hand and you go, well, I got the big joker. I got the little joker. I got the ace, the 2. Oh, we're going to Boston on this one.
Right.
And,
right.
And Gene Shaheen and what's his name from and Tim Kaine, they didn't play their cards. They didn't play their cards.
Will this have any effects later on? Or is Trump just that bad where they're going to take the Senate or the House either way? Like, meaning the midterms are just going to go miserably for him one way, either way, despite the fact that they weren't willing to actually go to the mat for this.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I see as being the saving grace is the expiration of the subsidies is real. The 31st of December is coming.
Yes.
They can't do anything about that. They're going to have to vote. To the Democrats' credit on this, they championed the issue. It now is well, Epstein once again has taken over the news cycle, but it's front and center. And so after Thanksgiving, when they get back in December, they can't they got to do something by the 31st of December, or else, folks, premiums are going to go through the roof. And contrary to the popular narrative, it's white folks that are going to suffer. It's Republicans that are going to suffer. There was a woman, I can't remember the congressman's name, Republican, from Iowa, or I think he was from Iowa, and he held a town hall meeting, and this woman calls in and she says something to the effect of, I have breast cancer. My husband has Alzheimer's. We make $45,000 a year. The cost of our healthcare is going to go up like 5 times what it is now, and we're left with 2 options: bankruptcy or early death. And they played this on television. It wasn't a commercial; it was an interview. They're interviewing the guy, the congressman, and he plays this recording from this woman, and he says, "We got to fix this." So, to the Democrats' favor, the 31st of December is coming, and if they are able to do something on this, then I think the midterms tilt in their favor.
Republicans are not going to do anything to fix Obamacare. They took 40 votes trying to get rid of Obamacare. A dog chasing a car. If it wasn't for John McCain, they would have gotten rid of Obamacare, and that was only because John McCain hated Donald Trump.
Right.
How do they turn around and now try to fix, or try to? I don't even know what fix means in this context.
Because their constituents are being left with 2 choices: bankruptcy or early death. And how they well, see, I think implicit in your question are 2 questions: how do they do it, and how do they spin it? Because I don't see how January 1st comes and folks wind up incurring the costs that they're going to incur. I don't, somebody else may know, but how they get around this, I don't know. Especially with the way that the Democrats have positioned the argument up to this point. In fact, because remember now, Thune said, Muppet Mike said, all we want you to do is pass a clean CR.
Right.
And then we'll deal with affordable care. Just pass a clean CR. So now, if Hakeem Jeffries is smart, if Chuck Schumer is smart, then that's questionable and honest. Now we passed the clean CR. We got to deal with this by the 31st of December. And then they just need to start playing that clip from that woman from Iowa. Or this is what's going to happen to too many American people. And Thune and Muppet Mike, it's on you.
Just be clear, though. A deal made by Thune has nothing to do with Mike Johnson.
Oh, well, except that the deal has to get through the House, has to get through the Senate. It has to be the same deal before it can get to the president's desk.
Right, but Mike doesn't even have to bring it up. The House doesn't even have to bring this deal up.
Doesn't have to, but I don't. Again, this could very well be me being optimistic. This could very well be me being, because I am an optimist. I know you're a pessimist. I'm an optimist.
I'm not a pessimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a Star Trek guy. I'm not a pessimist.
Okay, you're a realist.
I just don't see, like,
Mr. Spock, you're a realist.
That the Republican Party cares about this stuff.
And they may not. They may not. But the bigger political fallout from this will be nuclear. It'll have half-lives. It'll pollute the ground for generations. I don't see how they avoid it. And again, I may be as wrong as the day is long. I just don't see how they avoid doing something. And so here's So here's what they do. Here's what they do. They extend it for 2 years. They put a income ceiling cap on those that can have the subsidies.
Yeah.
They put an income cap, and I don't know what the cap is. $180,000, $380,000 total income, whatever. And they make some adjustments to who gets the money and how they get the money, so that they're able to say, we got rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, and the money is actually going to the ratepayer instead of just going to benefit the insurance company. They figure out a way so that the Republicans can support their waste, fraud, and abuse narrative, and they then can stick a flag in the ground and say, we did this for the American people. We're saving money. They'll create some algorithm to show, oh, we saved $1 zillion, and blah 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 blah. And the Democrats will go along with that, and that's what they'll do. How's that for an answer?
I can see that. I can see that.
Where is my Dr. J picture?
I can see that. I can see them trying to do something like that, especially if they think the pain is going to be fall back on them.
The big thing I think they're going to do is they're going to say the subsidies only apply to those that make $300. If you make more than $300,000 a year, you don't get the something like that. You don't get the subsidy.
Put a price limit on it, or income restriction on it. I mean, look, I watched the Republican Party fire American workers, meaning the richest man on the planet going through firing American workers. I've watched them take $1 trillion out of Medicaid. I've watched them destroy Social Security. You would have thought that all of these things would have been radioactive. Not so much. And so when the next thing come up of, hey, people's insurance rates are going to go up by 3 times, I look at it and say, well, if the other things weren't radioactive, why would this be radioactive? I mean, you have an anesthetized American public. Like, meaning, if those rates go up, are people going to go out marching? Are they going to raid the Capitol like on January 6th, as they should? Like, I don't
know. Well, probably not. Well, I don't know. But I think part of the answer to your question is the Democrats effectively made this issue front and center. And that's the difference between this and some of the other things like Social Security that you mentioned. The Democrats since September have made this issue front and center. And so the question now becomes, over the next month or after Thanksgiving, they should be talking about it now, but after Thanksgiving, because now I think Thanksgiving is Thursday, so Monday will be, I think, the 1st of December. If they revert back to that narrative, I think it'll prove to be it'll work in their favor.
We will see. I mean, obviously, I don't want people's rates going up, obscene amounts. And
no,
that phone call that you mentioned is just devastating. That is, you get to the ripe years of your life after expending all of your labor and energy into a particular country. And then you're stuck with, okay, my husband is Alzheimer's, I have cancer. What am I going to do with the situation? And my rate's about to go up to a point where I can't afford it. Yeah.
So, if they need to go back to the grandmother in the wheelchair getting thrown off the cliff ad, and use the voiceover of the woman that just called into the that's, if they're smart, that's what they'll do, because that's real.
Yeah.
That's the reality for so many suffering Americans. They have no choice. But they've had no choices before and done the wrong thing. So,
Dr. Wilmer Leon, always appreciate you, man. Dr. Wilmer Leon, he's radio host, political scientist, nationally syndicated columnist, host of Connecting the Dots on YouTube and on his show on Sirius Radio, Inside the Issues. You have an awesome day, man. Thank you for this. You be safe.
my pleasure,
okay?
man.
Have a
You
good
do
one.
the same.
Bye. All right, Dr. Wilmer Leon is